So if you want to get healthy and you feel a bit overwhelmed, or you don't know where to start, and you really want to understand the core foundations of health, then today's podcast is going to be for you. I was out surfing this morning and someone came up to me and we were talking and I'm like, hey, how are you? And she's like, oh, I'm just like not feeling that good. And she said she's got some digestive stuff. She's got brain fog, low energy. And she said, well, yeah, I just think I need to like understand how to get healthy. And so we were just chit-chatting, and then it made me realize that if she has this question, it's most likely that other people do. So we're going to dive into that today of where to start and what are the 7 pillars of health. You are listening to the Gut Health Jack podcast, where we question the common narrative and explore what lies beneath the surface. I'm Jackie Edgerly, functional nutritionist, clinical herbalist, and NLP practitioner, here to help you understand your body, uncover the root causes of your symptoms, and finally feel like yourself again. If you've ever felt like you don't fit into the conventional path, if you're tired of the quick fixes and crave a more honest, holistic approach, you are in the right place. Every other week, we dive into the often overlooked layers of healing and explore practical steps to rebuild your gut from the inside out, all while reconnecting with your intuition. Let's dig in. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're diving into the 7 pillars of health. Just kind of like all the things that I check off when I'm working with a client and I say, okay, have we worked on their gut health? Have we worked on their blood sugar? Have we worked on diet and nutrition? What's going on with their environment, their detox? Are they resting? Do they understand the nervous system? What's going on with their lifestyle? Are they moving? Are they spending time in nature? Do they connect with their community? And the 7th is what's going on with their mindset. So we're going to go through these today one by one and just kind of unpack what each of these mean and where to start with each pillar so that you can get a head start on your health and address it before it becomes a bigger issue. Okay, so the 7 pillars of health. We're going to start with the nervous system, as it really is, it's so important for everything else, and everything else impacts the nervous system. So the nervous system does kind of umbrella the whole conversation we're going to have today and health in general, because the nervous system has the autonomic nervous system has 2 states, right? The parasympathetic rest and digest state, and the sympathetic state, fight or flight. And so if we are wanting to digest well and detox well and reproduce and have relaxation and creativity, this all happens in a parasympathetic, calm, rest and digest state. So yes, the nervous system is super duper important when we're talking about healing, whether it's you crashed on your bike and broke your leg, or you're struggling with bloating and gas, or you feel extremely burnt out. So the nervous system is so key because chronic stress, it overstimulates this opposite side, the sympathetic nervous system, and that leads to fatigue, poor digestion, blood sugar swings, hormonal imbalance, and it's really expensive on the body, which basically you can think of your body having, a bank account of nutrients. And when the stress state is activated, it's really expensive. And so we don't want to be hanging out over in the sympathetic state all day, every day. And that's what's normal. That's what's happening in the modern world, where that is what's normal. So we have to kind of go against the flow and take time for ourselves to rest and rejuvenate and nourish ourselves. Because the thing is, stress short term, it's totally fine. That's a normal process. But ideally, the stressor happens, it passes, and then we tap back into the parasympathetic rest and digest phase. And if we have cortisol elevated and stress elevated long term, this is really detrimental to the body. It's super hard for us to keep up. And it can break down muscle tissue. It can lead to degeneration of the gut lining. It can lead to super wonky hormones. It can lead to infertility. It can lead to so many things, because if we're in the chronic stress state, every other system that's not a priority is going to be pushed to the side. So we want to be focusing on our nervous system. We want to be supporting our adrenals. We want to be doing our adrenal cocktails to support this process and give the body the necessary nutrients that it needs. And really look at this from a lifestyle point of view. So doing your daily check-ins, your meditations, your legs up the wall, making sure you're eating enough food. That's a really big one that we'll talk about in a couple pillars. Balancing your blood sugar is one of the biggest and best ways to support our nervous system. If we're eating sugar all the time, our stress response is going to be through the roof because we're going to be dipping into that hypoglycemic state, which is an emergency to the brain. So number one pillar is the nervous system and rest and sleep. So we'll talk about that too more in the lifestyle, but sleep is a big part of this. Just even working with the sun and the moon and waking up with the sun and going to bed with the sunset or sometime around that, like let's say 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is a great way to support your nervous system. So this piece is the foundation for everything else to blossom off of, and also you'll see how they all connect together. So number two is mindset, and I am just so fascinated with how we can change our lives through our mindset, because negative self-talk and limiting beliefs and constant worry and suppressed emotion, it keeps the nervous system in this overdrive. So we're going back to that first pillar where it actually puts us into a sympathetic dominant state where we can't heal. We can't focus on the positive. We literally have a focal point that's just to run away from the threat at hand. We struggle with our digestion. So if we can work on our self-talk and our belief system and release some of this suppressed emotion and talk to somebody or work on our inner landscape, it is amazing the weight that is relieved off of our body. Like, I can't even express, as someone who grew up not knowing how to manage my emotions and now learning how to do it, I just feel so much more light and I feel so much less reactive. And so we want to really check in and see, what is your default mode network? What is your automatic setting? What is your set point? Because 95% of our brain is automatic and 5% is conscious. So we really got to slow down and check in to access that subconscious mind to see what's running the show. And we can actually go in and we can change these patterns and we can lay down new neural pathways for confidence, for resilience, for healthier choices, for different habits. It is so powerful and it's really cool. I've been really diving into the Mel Robbins podcast because she is just bringing some super awesome, cool people onto her show that are explaining how and why this happens. Like, she's bringing in all these neuroscientists who focus on studying the brain, and they're like, no, this is happening. Like, we can actually see that you can create new neural pathways. It's absolutely amazing. And I think there's so much in our future of healthcare that's going to take this into consideration. So the biggest thing here is we can just journal, we can pause, and we can pause the external influences so that we can see what's actually going on with us. And we can use things like visualization and NLP to shift our mindset and reduce this stress and improve our emotions and how we deal with them. And I'll give you one little tip here where, so working with our emotions, it's really important to identify what the emotion is. So if something's happening and you're feeling really angry, anger is a very activated emotion. So the way that you would process that in the moment, you're like, okay, wow, I'm feeling anger. What am I making this mean? Before reacting to the situation, it's important to process that emotion, that active emotion, through something active. Go stomp around the block, go for a quick run, go let off the steam so you can actually process what's going on. If we don't ever allow the emotion to move through, it just gets suppressed down and down and down, and then it builds up like a kettle and it eventually explodes. And then if you have a, let's say, sadness or shame or feeling hurt, this is very still. Like these are still emotions where you might need to cry, you might need to journal, you might just need some time alone. And then after you give yourself that time, you can then process and make steps to improve your decisions instead of being reactive. So working with our mindset and our emotions is such a key factor to our health. And actually, I just listened to one of the most recent podcast on the Mel Robbins podcast. She interviews a guy who explains this awesome study, and I'm really excited to look more into what he's doing because it's really cool, about people who are self-silencing. So they're not expressing themselves. There's a correlation between that and chronic disease. So mindset is super powerful when we are talking about our health. And I think it's been really overlooked up until this point. So don't worry, we're going to be doing a lot of deep dive on mindset. I'm even thinking about doing a little intro program on how to get into, what the mindset is and how to work with it. So stay tuned for that. Next, we are talking about diet and nutrition. So third pillar here is diet and nutrition. And I think this is pretty obvious, but maybe not, because people just don't understand how important nutrients are. Literally, our body thrives off nutrients. We need carbs, fat, protein, and vitamins and minerals. And if we have nutrient deficiencies and we're eating poor quality food, we're going to feel fatigued, gut issues, inflammation, mood swings. We literally need nutrients to function. And so with our deteriorating soil and with our low quality food and all the packaged food, it's stripped of nutrients, stripped of fiber, and leads to imbalances. And that's why I love doing HTMA mineral hair testing, because we get to actually see what's going on at a mineral level. Do you have enough minerals to function? And I see this a lot with burnout and with gut health. We're struggling to function because we don't have enough, whether it's calcium, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, boron, or maybe we have too much of something because of environmental factors. It's really important to check in to support our blood sugar. We need magnesium, we need calcium, we need B vitamins. We need, a variety. We need healthy fats for hormone balance. And we need things like zinc and sodium and potassium for a healthy digestion. And then we need, let's say, amino acids for our detox pathways. So it's really important for us to focus on whole foods and step away from just eating the bread and the chips and the pasta, because those don't have dense nutrient quality that we need to feel alive and fulfilled and strong and confident. So we want to focus on whole foods, balancing our meals, and eating adequate protein, fat, fiber, and carbs. So this is really, really important, and it's becoming more important than ever because you go out in the world to go shopping and there's so much greenwashing. So the easiest thing to do when you're going shopping is just buy food in its whole form. So instead of the corn chips, buy some corn. Instead of the noodles, buy the grain, buy the quinoa, buy the rice, buy the potatoes or the sweet potatoes in their whole form. That is the easiest way to move into supporting your health through diet and nutrition. So number 4 is gut health. So we want to support the gut because we need the gut to take in everything from the external and bring it into the body. If we don't have healthy digestion, we can't have healthy immune systems or healthy neurotransmitters. We can't think clear, and we don't have healthy hormones because we need to absorb the nutrients. And also, we need to get rid of the waste material and poop it out. So, and there's so much on even just the microbiome. We need to have a healthy microbiome to support our metabolism. We need it to support our brain. We got to have a healthy microbiome to get rid of our estrogen and poop it out. There's so much coming out about the gut, and it's so important. So I think the biggest thing to understand is the gut-brain axis. So the reason gut health wasn't numero uno is because we need a healthy nervous system to kick gut health into gear. And the digestive system is a top to tail process. So it starts in the brain just with thinking about eating and being in a rest. That's why it's called rest and digest state, because we digest in a parasympathetic state. And if there's one thing I've seen over and over and over again through having gut health be my main focus of my work in the last 5 years, is the piece that we always want to jump over, myself included, is the nervous system piece for gut health. And if we are trying to do all the things, we're doing stool testing, we're working on the microbiome, we're getting rid of candida, all this stuff is helpful, but it's not really going to make that big of an impact if we aren't giving ourselves time to rest. So this is yes around meal times, but also just throughout our day. Our body needs to pause to digest our food. It doesn't like to digest food when we're on the go. And so you can imagine how this would be a big problem today, where we're just going, and we're not ever giving our digestion the time it needs to digest properly and effectively and switch into that parasympathetic state where we actually digest our food and we assimilate our food. And that's also how we excrete it out of the body. So yes, the nervous system is really important for gut health. And also, if we've addressed the nervous system, we can then move on to gut health. And this means that we need to support healthy stomach acid. We need to support minerals that build out our stomach acid and help the motility of our gut. It's really important to address, do we have enough digestive enzymes to help us break down our food? Do we have a healthy liver and gallbladder that secretes healthy bile to help us break down fats, help us to remove toxins? It's also a signaling agent. So we kind of move from the top to the tail, and we just go step by step. We check in with the brain, then we go to the mouth. Are you chewing your food? Are you drinking too much water with meals? Is that suppressing your stomach acid? Then we go down to the stomach. What's going on with the stomach lining? Is there H. pylori? And this is how we work with the gut. We move from the top to the tail, and because that's how the gut works. Every step leads to the next step. So we don't want to just focus specifically on, let's say, the small intestine and leaky gut if we haven't addressed the nervous system, the mouth, the stomach, the pancreas, the liver, gallbladder, stuff like that. So it's a sequence of events. And I did a podcast episode on leaky gut, and it describes this whole process of top to tail. So number 4 is gut health, and it's really important to support this process. So we want to support it with healthy foods, the nervous system. We want to check in. Maybe we need some digestive supports, and I've created a whole guide of where to start with this whole gut health piece. So if you feel like you're struggling with your gut health, go grab that guide, and it gives you step-by-step action items to literally just start on this pillar so that you can really start optimizing your digestion, your gut health, and your elimination. So eat calm, chew your food, and grab some digestive enzymes if you really need some support. And then just make sure you're focusing on your nervous system, because this is what I see in my practice is we're always jumping over the nervous system piece when it comes to gut health. Like we come home and we just slam our mouth full of food after work, and then we're like, oh, I don't feel good. It's like, well, yeah, you didn't give your body time to transition and tap into a parasympathetic state to digest your food. So next one, number 5, is blood sugar. So why blood sugar matters is because it literally leads to energy crashes, mood swings, cravings, irritability, hormone disruption, and adrenal issues. So we really want to support our blood sugar. And the biggest thing we can do here is eat a nutrient-dense whole food diet, because if we're eating foods that are low in fiber, low in nutrients, and high in refined carbohydrates, this is going to create a roller coaster effect. And that is very, it creates a lot of imbalance for our cardiovascular system. It causes a lot of imbalance for our adrenals, because when we give the body a bunch of sugar, we spike our glucose levels, and then the body reacts by sending out a bunch of insulin, and then we suck it into the cells, and then we plummet. And so these chronic spikes and dips are an emergency to the brain, because the backup system, when there's not enough blood sugar in the bloodstream is we tap into our stress response to dump out cortisol, which then leads to spiking our glucose levels. So you have a lot of sugar and then you've got no sugar, and then you've got a lot of sugar and then you've got no sugar. And that's like you watch a kid, you give them a bunch of candy. They've all got all this sugar and then they crash because the body takes it in too quickly. And that's what happens when they're refined sugars, like straight pure sugar without any fiber, without any fat, and without any protein. So we want to avoid eating naked carbs to support our blood sugar. We want to eat 3 meals a day to avoid the fasting state where it's really a hard stressor on the body, especially if you're a menstruating female. This all really helps us stabilize our energy, stabilize our mood, and for the women out there, it really helps us stabilize and have healthy cycles. So if you're struggling with energy crashes or cravings or mood swings, irritability, hormone issues, go check out my video on YouTube about blood sugar. I'll link it up in the show notes, but it's really important to understand this physiology piece of how this all works, because then you will start making changes because you understand how your body works. And I find sometimes we need the visual piece. So go check out my video about how to support your blood sugar and what to do about supporting your blood sugar, because it's really such a key pillar and can make you feel, it's the biggest thing that I see my clients say. They're like, wow, I started eating breakfast and I feel so much better. And that's because we're balancing our blood sugar from the very beginning of the day. Blood sugar really does have such a beautiful ripple effect out on, such a positive effect out to every aspect of our health. It just makes us feel more calm, more grounded. And so we can do this through eating a whole food diet, balancing our carbs with protein and healthy fats, eating regularly, avoiding just eating like snacky foods, like sit down and have a whole meal, and then avoid excess sugar, which this will all help stabilize your energy and mood. And the last thing I'll say is, so stress and blood sugar are super interconnected, because when we have that high spike of blood sugar, the body can overreact and drop us down into hypoglycemia. And when we go into hypoglycemia, this asks the adrenals, it's like, hey, adrenals, we need some help getting some blood sugar, because low blood sugar is an emergency to the brain. So we have an inbuilt system that basically says, hey, we don't have enough sugar. This is a stress. We need fuel right now. So we tap into the adrenals to then dump out cortisol to then give us more glucose. So stress and blood sugar go hand in hand together. So if you're stressed too, if you're super stressed, your blood sugar is going to be all over the map. So do your best to balance your blood sugar and go check out my video on YouTube. I think it'll help you a lot. All right, so moving on to number 6, the number 6 pillars of health, environment and detox. So yes, there's toxins in our food and our water and our personal care and our home, and there's toxins out there. And yes, some of them are just part of life, and then others are not meant to be in the human body. And this can increase inflammation. It can be hard for the liver. It stresses the gut, and it can disrupt our hormones. Like literally, I just had a client this morning say, hey, I've got fibroids. And fibroids, one of the biggest thing is estrogen not being able to get out of the body. And so much of our toxic chemicals are estrogenic, right? And so we want to check in with where are the toxins coming from, and also can we get the toxins out of the body? So we really want to support the liver. We really want to support the kidneys, the lymphatic system, and get these toxins out of the body. And also we need to see where they're coming from. So we don't want to just open the drain. We want to turn off the tap. And so we can do that through, and it's pretty simple. We can take a high perspective and just, we want to the best of our ability, go as natural and organic as possible. So how can you get the thing that you want, whether it's a tincture or a lip balm or a fragrance or your clothing or your sheets? How can we get those to be as natural as possible? And once you start doing it, it gets to be pretty clean and clear of like what's healthy and what's not. The trickiest part is it can be like the shampoos and stuff, but there's amazing databases out there that we can look to, like environmental working group. And also, if anything is super heavily fragranced, just ditch it. That is one of the easiest ways to start this environmental detox, where fragrances are really hard on the body. They're hard on the hormones. They're hard on the immune system. They can increase histamine stuff, allergies. They're best to just get rid of. So scented candles, scented anything. Just if you see perfume or fragrance, just get rid of it and move to something that's unscented. That's such a great way to start. There's so many simple swaps. You can, instead of having a super gnarly spray, move to a clean cleaning product like Branch Basics, or make your own with apple cider vinegar or hydrogen peroxide. So this one's pretty clean and clear, and there's some amazing, my favorite person to kind of look to for this is Laura Adler. She has some amazing resources and has done so much digging and research on what is actually in certain products. So I really look to her when I have questions about that. Laura Adler, she's amazing. And the more hair tests I do, so on a HTMA test, we see what's going on with heavy metals, and there's a lot of aluminum. So that's another one too. If you're using aluminum foil, if you're using aluminum cookware, that's something that's really hard. It's hard on the brain, and it can make it hard to think and can lead to a lot of chronic issues. So we want to get the minerals balanced so that we can detoxify. And that's the key, right? So how do we detox heavy metals? We optimize our minerals, because minerals, like for example, we need calcium to detoxify aluminum. So I had a kid that I tested recently, and his aluminum was super high, and we saw that he had low calcium. So it's like, hey, let's check in with the minerals to make sure we can actually detoxify these things out of the body. And when we do, we literally feel better in our digestion. We have more energy. We have more clarity in thought. So we want to just check in with our environment. What's in the air? What's in the water? What's in our room? You know, is there mold? Just check in. What's going on with your environment? And so after we've done our environmental cleanup and we've checked our kitchen, we've gotten rid of our Teflon, we've cleaned up our face care and our shampoo, and we've really done like an overhaul of our internal environment, it's important to then just check in. Hey, how is my detoxification system working? How are my minerals? How do I have enough amino acids? Am I digesting my amino acids to have a healthy liver function? So we want to focus, yes, on the environment, and that's the first step, but then we want to check in with detox and drainage. So we can even support the liver by eating beets and eating lots of fiber, because that helps pull out toxins from the body. We want to support our bile through bitter foods. So yes, we want to support the environment that we're living in. And also we want to support the detoxification process that happens within the body. So do those simple swaps, and also incorporate some liver supportive foods like the beets, like the greens, like the fiber. And also a superfood for the liver is cruciferous veggies. So that's anything that has sulfur in them: broccoli, cauliflower, alliums, garlic, eggs. They really help us detoxify efficiently. Okay, so the last pillar here is lifestyle. How are we living our life? Are we moving our bodies? Are we spending time in nature? Do we have social connection? Do we have purpose? Do we have emotional fulfillment? Are we sedentary? Do we have isolation going on? Do we have, people that we can reach out to? So I like to think of the lifestyle pillar as, how are you moving through your day to day? Are you just working all day and then stress about dinner and then argue with your partner and then go to bed? Or are you really taking your lifestyle into your own hands and doing the things that you want to do with your life? Are you moving your body? Are you getting into nature? Do you have social connections? If we have a sedentary, isolated lifestyle that just focuses on work that we don't love, this is going to downregulate your health pretty rapidly. So it's really important to, yes, bring in the exercise to support circulation and lymphatic flow and help remove toxins and helps release neurotransmitters. And it's really important to think about another piece here where we need sunlight. We aren't supposed to be inside all day under gnarly fake lights, right? So we need sunlight exposure. This boosts our vitamin D and helps improve our mood and regulates our circadian rhythm, which improves, yes, our mood and our energy and regulates our cortisol and our stress response. And then we have nature, which literally reduces stress hormones, improves focus, and gives us brilliant ideas. So it's really important to incorporate daily movement, spend time outside, nurture those social connections for true holistic healing. And this is why I'm really been focusing my work around mindset, because we address all of this stuff that is driving our nervous system into a stress state. Because if you aren't fulfilling your purpose, if you aren't pursuing your passion, and you don't feel like you're contributing to society and you don't have a community to connect to, your health is going to take a hit. And so this pillar, this lifestyle pillar, is kind of like the big, broad perspective of what's going on with your day to day. How are you spending the moments of your life? Because what life is just moment to moment, right? And so if we can start moving through our life in a way that we really feel good about, everything else falls into place. And that's why the mind and the nervous system and our lifestyle is so crazy important, whether you want to focus on your gut health, your hormone balance, your, mood crashes, your irritability, all of this stuff. If we just slow down and take time to look inside and tap into your inner wisdom, you already have the answers. You know what you need. And when we pause and reflect, it gives us real clarity on what the next steps are. And so that's why I've been really focusing on leaning into NLP and mindset and subconscious reprogramming, because I believe that it is the thing that kind of ties all of these pillars together. Because yes, they are all connected, right? All these pillars are super interconnected, where chronic stress or burnout can disrupt the nervous system, which impacts digestion and blood sugar and sleep and even the mindset. And the blood sugar can impact stress and can lead to burnout. If we don't get enough sleep and rest, that can lead to nutrient deficiencies. If we don't have healthy digestion, we can have a dysregulated nervous system because we just aren't absorbing the nutrients that we need. If we have an unhealthy mindset, this can lead to dysregulated gut health because we aren't tapping into a parasympathetic state. So by supporting all 7 of these pillars, we create a super strong foundation for energy, digestion, resilience, and a healthy, fulfilling life. So I hope that helps. I just wanted to kind of break it down into 7 key points where you guys can start learning about how to heal yourself, how to take all this crazy information out there and just break it down. So just a little recap. We've got to support, number 1, our nervous system and our rest. What can you do one thing today? What is one thing you can do to really nourish your system? Do you need sleep? Do you need food? Do you need connection? What do you need? Do you need to reframe something like, this isn't going to work, or nothing ever works for me? Hey, what was one time it actually did work out for you? Or maybe you just need to get some really quality sleep. Or maybe you need to take a pause on smoking weed so that your body can actually rest. Mindset, number 2. Do you want to check in with your self-talk? Have you been really hard on yourself lately? Maybe do a little bit of journaling or meditation and just tap into yourself and give yourself some space to breathe and relax. See what is actually going on in the mind. And doing a little journaling can really help get the stream of consciousness going so you can actually start to understand what's going on in your unconscious mind. Number 3, we have diet and nutrition. So we want to focus on swapping to a nutrient-dense food diet that's anti-inflammatory, loaded with minerals and vitamins. So think colorful, rich foods. We want plants and animals, and bring your plate together with carbs, fat, protein, and fiber. Then we have gut health. Our digestion, our microbiome, our stool health, right? This is our immune system, because 70% of our immune system is in our gut. So first steps to gut health is we slow down, we pause, we chew our food, we drink water away from our meals. Maybe you need a little bit of sodium. I see a lot, we don't have enough sodium to build out stomach acid. So you can just like dab the salt as you walk by, get some really high quality sea salt and just start putting a little bit of that in your water. Start integrating sea salt into your life. We need sodium and potassium for healthy digestion. So potassium would be coconut water, aloe vera juice. We need avocados. We've got dried figs and dried apricots and acorn squash, all really high in potassium. You could start doing a little mocktail that has sodium and potassium and vitamin C, which we call an adrenal cocktail, but truly it's a nourishing cocktail that supports the whole system. And I find that when people start bringing in sodium and potassium, they really see a change in their energy and also their gut health. And then another thing for gut health is we want to make sure that we're pooping. We didn't talk about this because I did a whole episode on it a couple weeks ago where I talked all about constipation, but with your gut health, we definitely want to make sure you're pooping. So if you need to get pooping ASAP, make sure you're drinking enough water, bring in some trace minerals in the morning, and also if you need, bring in some like magnesium oxide to just get the bowels moving, because we got to empty out the system and we don't want to just continually build and build and build. So if you're dealing with constipation, go listen to my constipation episode and we'll get you pooping. Number 5 is blood sugar. And this is really important if you're struggling with your energy, if you have lots of food cravings, you've got mood imbalance, or your hormones are all out of whack. We want to remove super processed foods and bring in nourishing foods that have protein, fat, and fiber. We see blood sugar roller coasters. We see them a lot in kids because kids love to snack on the white foods. And so if we can bring foods in for them that have protein, fat, and fiber, this can really help them stabilize their energy, their cravings, their crashes, that up and down. And same goes for adults. So if you're struggling with the up and downs, check in with your blood sugar and go listen to and watch my video on YouTube. Number 6 is our environment. What's going on with our environment? What are you breathing? What are you drinking? What is going on in your external world that could be coming into your internal world? So we want to reduce the toxins in our home, in our personal care, and our food. And we want to support the liver with liver supportive foods. And if you want to work with one plant, you could bring in some milk thistle. Number 7, lifestyle, last one. So again, this is how are you living your day to day? Are you bringing in movement? Are you spending time in nature? Are you grounding with the earth? Are you spending time in the sun? Do you have community? Do you have social connection? Do you have adventure and curiosity? And are you living and fulfilling what you truly want to do? Because this is what makes a really holistic, healthy, happy life. And we know that when we feel good mentally, we feel good in the physical body. All right, so those are the 7 pillars of health. Just start by checking one of those off and move to the next. And if you're anything like the girl in the surf, she just wanted to start understanding why and how to become the healthiest version of herself. You guys, seriously, it's all in those 7 pillars. If you can even just focus on one and stick with that for a couple weeks and then go to the next one, you will be amazing. You will be amazing, but you will be amazed at how your life will shift, how your energy will increase, how your moods will stabilize, how you will start pooping, and you will feel more positive. This stuff works. I see it in my clients. I've seen it in myself, and now it's your turn. So grateful to have you here, and I'll catch you in the next episode. If this episode lit something up within you, join me again in 2 weeks' time. Gut health doesn't have to be overwhelming. We'll unravel it here together, one episode at a time. Sign up for my newsletter with this link below to be the first to know when the next episode drops. And if someone came to mind while listening today, copy the link and share this episode if you think it could help them. Thanks for tuning in and listening to the Gut Health Jack podcast. Now get outside, have some fun, and I'll see you for the next episode.